Yeah, but it's not working properly. Hello, guys. Okay.
Caroline. Ask Caroline. She must have.
Yes.
Good.
Do you want upstairs?
Yes, please bring me. Yeah, this is one.
Oh, okay.
This is earphone, not microphone.
It has a microphone on it. Okay. In your room? No. Yeah.
But she said she has in her room. She can bring her own too. Because you say your own is not working. Let her go and bring her own.
Oh,
I've done that, sir.
Oh, yeah? So do you think I will be able to share it now?
I think so, sir.
Let's try. Let's try.
Might be doing something wrong.
Hello, ladies. We have lost your husband, though. Is he somewhere around? He's coming? Oh, he's gone to the orphanage. Wow, you are like in Hawaii. You are like in Hawaii. And you are like you are going for another one. Another birthday party. Yeah, it's like you've done it. Слушай, ты только что приехал? А, пастор Наташа. А Оксана где?
Тут со мной.
Здесь, да?
Да.
Ой, я ее тоже поприветствую. Она не против? Или есть?
Сейчас я ее позову.
Смущается, да?
Смущается чуть-чуть.
Ну, а ты уже все прошел и воду, и огонь, и воду. Bless you. Have you been very busy?
Yes, Pastor.
Yeah. Oh, только нам пришла. Привет. Только все глаза теперь на тебе. Раз ты пришла сразу. Добре. Как ты?
Хорошо.
Как вы уже попили у пастора Наташи?
Нет, сейчас ждем.
А, только ждете,
Да,
да?
мы ждем. Сейчас
Ну, раз вы не говорите по-английски, не говорите, вы учите.
Будем учить обязательно. Спасибо вам большое.
Все, благословляю. So, guys, who is sitting here? Julie, you don't want to try it? Is a hot seat for you?
I'll get the scarf, though. And this.
Is that all the fish is already good? Or is it my computer? Jeanette. Maybe it's good resolution. So, Mayowa, please, let's try it from tonight and tomorrow morning. Let's dedicate it to many as I live. The ones who are good. And then you take it easy and gradually. Yes?
Okay, it's fine now.
Nobody was going in and out.
Hello, everyone. We're fellowshipping with we're having fellowship with Dr. Sunday Adelaja right now.
We have
So it's the after party, I guess.
Yeah.
After 3 days of Golden Jubilee, we're now with Dr. Sunday
Babush.
sitting to fellowship.
Are
We
you sure
did
you
that
want the
every
gold?
night
Okay.
of the
You
Golden
too.
Jubilee
Yeah.
celebration from Friday, but now we're doing one in the daytime. We might do one in the evening. So let's see how it goes. How are you guys? Hi Gregory, how you doing? Hi Paul. Hello Rasmussen. Hello. Hi Pierre.
Hi.
Just right here next to me. Stella. D, how are you? Hello, Jekwa Israel. Hello. Amachi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Guys, you know what to do. Please do the honors and share, share, share. I know you like to hear me say share. So please share right now so that more people can join us and join in this fellowship with Dr. Sunday. Okay?
But people will be at work, right? In Britain.
It's bank holiday today.
Oh, okay.
31st.
Oh, it's always every 31st of May. Isn't it?
Every first Monday and last Monday in May.
Wow. Okay.
The weekend was
Yep.
Get closer.
Sorry?
That's better.
Здравствуйте. Когда вы уезжаете? Сегодня? Значит, сейчас?
Да.
Ну, мы в прямом эфире, в принципе. Наверное, потом, потому что мы сейчас в прямом эфире. Ну, на весь мир идем сейчас. То есть нельзя оторваться, я как привязанный ослонка.
Я уже такси заказала.
Садитесь с нами. She has to go, but I don't think I can leave this seat right now. She wanted to say bye. I said, we are now on live. It's a hot seat now. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Mrs. Banjoko, you are still busy, eh?
Yes, sir.
Well, you are a queen, so you take the decision. When you are free, we'll be expecting you here.
I can hardly wait to come here.
Okay. Okay, what are you people interested in? Maybe we should finish our impressions from yesterday. Yesterday we started by everybody sharing their own impressions. Then the one thing will lead to another. We started talking about revelations or anything. Anybody wants to share?
About yesterday?
Yeah, about this whole week.
Yeah.
Maybe not just yesterday, all the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Pastor Pearl.
Yesterday
No,
what?
not Pierre.
Pierre.
It's
Peter.
Yeah. Paul, Pierre. Yeah, Pierre.
Thank you.
Yes, one thing from yesterday, I
don't think it's visible. It's not visible. You have to, do it in a way. Illumination. You have to care about that. It's better
fine.
now.
It's the light direction. It's fine. It would change.
Touch it again the way you just did now. Again. Yeah, that's better.
most of the great things have been said yesterday, but one thing I've noticed about how you are doing things. So I know you are doing things on purpose. So I observe because it's living leadership for me, and most of the leader I know, when they have a meeting, they are the one who talks. But yesterday, you only been listening for the people, and so I was saying, wow. And also yesterday night, what blows my mind is you took just a few minutes to explain such a deep things about the light, and everyone was very, very touched, very impressed. But the majority of the time you let the people speak. So when I know the value of what you could have said, you must have a big purpose to value our word too. And for me it's a great lesson to learn. That's why I have noticed of what you are doing.
Anybody wants to comment on what the pair said? Or you have your own impressions to share?
Yeah, not to comment. I have my own. The two things that caught my attention during those 3 days were, the first was church, in the big hall, the big hall. After all the celebration, you decided to hug everybody and talk to everybody.
Everybody who came.
Who came? Yes.
Not everybody came.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And I was, what the place? Yeah. Yeah. I was looking like that. I was just impressed because for someone like you to spend usually when one leader finish some kind of to come, you ask, I want to hug you, each one of you. And I was looking, there were all kind of people,
Poor.
rich, poor, just like that. I was saying, wow, you didn't really care who they are, but you took your time to hug them and to talk them personally. I was very impressed about that. And the second thing was in the little hall. When people were testifying, yeah, I noticed one thing. I noticed that there were a lot of people who have been with you since the beginning of your journey, and I was impressed. I understand because of when we see all the challenges you are going through now. I understood that the people who, for example, left you were the people you just
Who came
take out later. And the lesson I took from there was, if you want to know the truth about something or about somebody, you don't have to ask to people that you just take along the road. Go to the source. You start everything. Yeah, and I was impressed that old woman who was ready to go even in jail because of you. Yeah, I was just wow, and like every time your humility is just what I do.
Would that be an example for you to follow, to copy?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
it's much more difficult to observe. Just to let you know that it's like I'm still here. So I've also noticed that it is easy for people to observe like this. But sometimes it's not so easy to do the same thing yourself. So my concern is not just that you see an example, but what is your decision moving forward about that example you have just seen? Are you, because by the time you try to begin to repeat it, you will discover that it's not quite as easy.
Exactly.
That you need to break yourself totally. It's about breaking yourself down. It's about breaking down your ego. It's actually about, just putting yourself down for others to walk on you. Just like the carpet, to make yourself the carpet. Now, if we don't do that, then it means we just want to admire somebody else or comment on another person's achievement. So, I bet you there have been many people who have seen Pastor Sunday before. Even in Ukraine here, I live among them. They see me every day for 20 years. I'm the same. But they get used to it. That's just Pastor Sunday. And for you who are coming around, if you are not careful, you could just discover that, that's just Pastor Sunday. So you remain in your own comfort zone and you don't even strive to change yourself or to be like that, because you've got to intentionally change yourself to become like that. Just like I was talking about yesterday about, what's it? Love not easily provoked. Because it's a hard work to do. So you want to comment on that? You don't have to comment. Let's pass it.
Yesterday when the church service, I was just actually like shedding tears because
It has to be louder because they will not hear it on television. They will just be saying your yellow dress. Maybe you orange it. Maybe you come forward or speak loud.
Yeah, as at that yesterday, towards the evening, I began to feel the urge to forgive somebody. Yeah, I had the urge to forgive my bishop. In the year 2006, before even my ordination, there was some crisis in the community where we were. Some militant boys attacked the crusade, and I went out to protect the bishop when a boy was coming with a cutlass. So one way or the other, I stood in front of the bishop and trying to stop the boy. The boy descended on me with a machete on my left hand. Just by God's own miracle, I can't explain to date, he didn't cut me. So after then, I got into the ordained ministry and I became the bishop's chaplain. I have served the bishop with the whole of my heart for 11 years. There has not been any day he hugged me. I was like his personal assistant for 3 years before I was sent to plant churches. I planted 2 churches and I was made even head of missions. When after I got married, and I'm like entitled to 30 days of annual leave. I wanted to come and see my wife here in Ukraine, so I applied for leave as my entitlement. And he said, there's so much work you can go. It repeated itself for 5 years. And when I was going into the ordained ministry, I had a lot telling me not to go on salary, to work full time, and not to receive any stipend from the church.
I'm beginning to understand Anastasia more. When Anastasia keeps on saying, no, you don't need to move it, just let it be on it. My best mentor, what was it? My best mentor in the whole wide world. I begin to understand her more and more, because if these things are the things that are happening out there, it's like Anastasia, we might begin to forgive you for trying to even question it.
Okay. My wife got pregnant, and last year she was about to deliver. Even our first baby in 2015, I wanted to come and be with her for her delivery. I applied for the same leave that I'm entitled to. He said, there's so much work you can go. I had to go get people to go and plead with him. He said that there are people there in Ukraine, they can take care of her. I said, no. I said, she's my wife, and she's not having any family there. I'm her husband. I want to be there. It became an issue, a serious issue, to the point that I said I'm going to resign from the priesthood and leave the ministry. It was with...
Don't begin to talk Biowa's language here now. She is the one who say, leave the church, leave the church.
It was after one or two persons came and joined me to plead with him. He reluctantly allowed me. Now, same last year when my wife was to give birth to our second baby, the same thing happened again. I discovered that he was not interested in my welfare. I was working full time. I was not receiving any stipend, and I was on ground. I wasn't having any other job. I was on ground 24 hours of the day. And my family, the welfare of my family was not like of concern to him at all. So that last year, I told him, I said, but with all humility, I know I have sacrificed in following you. On 2 occasions, I've had boats mishap on the IC. Even in one of them, he was on the boat and we're able to, I know how to swim, but he doesn't know how to swim. We're able to help him and rescue him into another boat. I have gone through pains with you. And this is what I am like receiving from you. I feel so bad about it. And that I'm ready to leave. If this is what ministry is all about, I think let me just leave and just go sit down in the congregation and serve God. While my wife, even after that had happened, we were able to reconcile and he allowed me to travel. When my wife was in the labor room, I called him just to inform him and get prayer from him. He didn't take my calls because he was angry that even though he had permitted me to go, he wasn't happy with the whole thing. She gave birth, and I kept calling to the point that he was not still picking my call. So I called the treasurer of the diocese. It's an Anglican diocese. So they were in a conference. So I told her that please just...
Now, is it becoming clearer now what it means? You don't need to move, just leave it. Let it go. That you cannot love God without loving people. But people who don't understand that revelation, they are thinking it is possible to love God without loving people. They are thinking it is possible to serve God without serving people. So you now tell me, which is more important? Just to be in church and be serving like this? Being like this, becoming like this and say you are serving God? Or not even to go to church at all, but be like the Good Samaritan?
About it.
You are talking about it?
We had a show today.
Yeah.
Over 1 hour.
We had a
talking,
broadcast.
Did a live broadcast.
Well, because that's what Jesus was trying to tell us. Jesus himself, who started the church, who is the owner of the church, said, the Samaritan, the Good Samaritan, is better than the priest who was going to church. His own church, Jesus' church. He was supposed to be interested in keeping people. But thank God, God is not man. And Jesus is not human. He will not go and say, because it's my interest, to protect my interest, or to make my church keep on growing. At least, you just keep on going to church. You just keep on sacrificing. Just keep on, it's the church. It's the work of the Lord. Just go. That's what people do today. But Jesus puts people first. Even at the expense of the service of the priest and of the Levite. He will even bypass the priest and the Levite and say, no, the unbeliever, who they call the Samaritan, I would rather pitch my tent with him than with someone who is calling my neighbor. So this kind of minister, this kind of pastor, and if all of you are supposed to tell your own story now, we will discover that his own bishop is not the only one. But the way you are talking, I don't like it. The reason I don't like it is this. You said you started this talk by saying that you are, because the whole topic of where we're treating is our impression in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because all the people who are at home, that's what they want to hear. And you started by saying, okay, during the service, I felt like forgiving. But that was just one sentence. Then like 100 or 200 sentences after, we have fully forgotten where we started. So we should not leave the point of our discussion, which is our impression here. So you have to always make the secondary thing shorter. You don't use the secondary illustration to kill the primary. And then, then we forget even the primary purpose of our discussion in the first place. So you have to make sure that even when you are going to the secondary illustrations, you are still paying more attention into the primary. The primary is still having an edge. So make it continue. Even though I want to hear that thing that happened, that phrase, and what the decision you took eventually, me, I want to hear. But I still must be more logical than I'm emotional.
Now, the main point is this. When we are at the resort, when after you arrived, you were greeting everyone and you saw me. You hugged me and you asked after my wife and my family.
I didn't even know that was the point he was going to. Then you have, this is the one you are supposed to emphasize even more than the long story.
At the heat of the whole thing, everyone, that crowd there, why would you, if you are the celebrant, you are meant to be, you are there for us to celebrate you, and you will now leave all of that. You can hug me and go, then I've not seen your wife. How is your wife? How is your children? And for these 11 years of Anglican priesthood, I never saw it from the bishop.
That's a strong point.
That's the point.
You have to emphasize, you have to now talk more further on this. Not because it's of me, but this is the primary. The primary should always have more than the secondary. No, don't touch it. Okay. So, then go ahead, go on from there and begin to make your conclusions. Why, that's why you now relate that back to what you were saying before. So you are making very strong logical arguments.
So, like I was saying, even when my wife was in the labor room, we called him. He deliberately, he was with the treasurer there. He saw my call and refused to take my call. I sent him a text. He got the text that my wife has delivered a baby boy.
But then I would say, if I were you at this point, so we are learning. Yeah. I would say, but on the other hand, here is somebody
that I have not even served. Will, in the midst of that occasion, the midst of the activities of that day, with even after hugging me, will now take his time to ask after my wife and my children, and was even asking me to bring them. I want to see them. It's not there. So yesterday I was just in my heart. I said I'll forgive him because I've already moved ahead. I've held some bitterness. I've kept bitterness in my heart against him and against even the work that I did there. But I'm free. I will live in this place free.
Strong point. Strong point. Now I know where you are going. Wow.
That's just a summary of the whole thing.
Are you sure this is summary?
Yes, it's a summary.
It's not the whole story yet.
It's a summary.
Anybody? We are sharing our impressions over the 3 days. Caroline, it's like you've decided to talk after somebody left. Make up right.
I think something that struck me too was the people who were there from the beginning, because one of my biggest prayers when I was like a kid was to have a friend like Jonathan, or like Naomi, or like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Mordecai, that person who sticks with you through thick and thin, through fire, through persecution. And that has been, like, if I can get just one of those in my life, like, I'd be set. And what I saw, especially yesterday, was that you have many Mordecais, you have many, Shadrachs and Meshachs, you have many Naomis. And the only question that came to me was, I wish that I could have been there when you were making the sacrifices for these people. Because that's where the bond happened, is when you were making the sacrifice. And it's almost like you can hear the story. You know, the biggest problem that I have is that I have a hard time feeling something that I haven't experienced, which is why I was wishing that I could have been there or heard the stories of how Pastor really went to the depths to sacrifice for these people. Because at that point is when you decide, you know, like many people that we heard yesterday, is when you decide to stick with someone, you know, when they've really made a sacrifice that you've never seen before. And that was really what struck me, was how many sacrifices must you have had to make, and how deep and taxing must those sacrifices have been for people to stay with you for 24 years through all kinds of persecution, and even decide to take the blame for something that you didn't even do. You know, the sacrifice must have been big, just like Jesus, you know. The gratitude fits the sacrifice. So I think that was the thing that struck me most. And the question that I had also is, how does one that has not been in these situations, like in church, has not suffered these persecutions, get to the level of appreciation? You know, like when they say to those who have sinned much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those who love much.
Those who love much.
I mean, who are forgiven much, love much.
Yeah, yes. And so my whole life I've always been in this place where I haven't done so much wrong, and I haven't been exposed to so much. So it's harder for me to get to the level of, I guess, feel as those who have gone through one kind of situation.
Okay. You know, in our church, there are a lot of people who would normally say the reason why drug addicts and alcoholics love so much is because of where they are coming from. So some people will say, well, I've always been a good girl or a good man, a good boy. I've never smoked, never drank, but I'm still, so that's why I cannot really love. I cannot really be passionate about God like these other people. I cannot really be zealous for God. And I don't understand that personally. Because for me, when I gave my life, what I was doing, and I was even noticing that I'm even more passionate, I'm more grateful than some of the drug addicts. And I never even smoked or drank, or there are two things that I had when I gave my life. The fact that I lied to my grandfather one time, one of my relatives, and got 10 naira that the school they demand for. Then I paid it back, but that was one. The second thing was that I was having girlfriends. Two things that I remember, the two things that I could remember. So, but where is the gratitude then coming from? The gratitude is coming from the fact that there is no measurement for sin in relations to the kind of sin or depth of sin. Every sin will have to die anyway. So since I was a sinner, and any other sinner, it doesn't matter what they did, all of us were supposed to go to hell. And since we are all supposed to go to hell, my sin, even if it is one or none, was going to lead me to hell. So I'm a sinner. That just, it's not about the magnitude of the sin or how long it has been done, I've been in that sin or whatever. It's the fact that I'm a sinner, and I realize it that I'm a sinner. So the punishment for sin is for me to be condemned to damnation. It's death. It's hellfire. So Jesus went to the cross and gave his life. I was not there when that happened. But I have a head, I have a mind, I have imaginations. I can imagine what he did. I can play back. You see, our mind, like I spoke about one of my last summit, our brain is given to us for two things. You can't remember, right? For memory and playback, and for storage, for vision. Memory, playback, storage, for vision, projection, dreaming, for dreaming. So I could play back, I could imagine, I could, try to reconnect to that happened. So when I gave my life, and what I said, I always talk about redemption. I had understanding of redemption. I saw what it would have cost me if I were to be crucified, stripped naked. I'm putting myself in the place of Jesus. And I say, hey, me, I don't want that. And somebody actually went through that and did that for me. For me, it's no more about what I did anymore now. It's no more about my sin or what I did or didn't do. But it's just seeing him, an adult of 33-year-old, stripped naked. In the photographs, you see him with pants and underwear. But in real life, there was no underwear. Just the shame of it. Even right now, to even tell you people to imagine for yourself. Anastasia, Jeff, Disu, Pastor Chris, see yourself being stripped naked right now. Just seeing myself being stripped naked in the middle of the road, the main street of the country. The main square. What's that square in London? Trafalgar Square. That got me. Jesus doesn't need to do anything again for me. He doesn't need to heal me. He doesn't need to promise me prosperity. He doesn't need to hear my prayer. He doesn't need to do anything. I just need to remember that picture. That he did that for me. He was actually stripped naked and being beaten and spat on. That is redemption to me. I don't even need to go far to the nail going through his finger. So it is the power of imagination. There are a lot of things that have happened and will still happen where you would never have opportunity to be there. Just as I was talking about yesterday, light, if you are going to think that and define light as the sun and moon and what you can see with your naked eyes, right now everybody knows that naked eye is nothing. It's the least, it's actually the weakest of sight. So there are deeper level of light and sight that you cannot see with your naked eyes. But because we have mind and imagination, you can picture it and get the whole thing. So the same, a lot of other things, it's just like saying, in India, people are dying of hunger. In Africa, people are dying of hunger. In some states in Nigeria, there are some children that are being punished or starved because they were branded witch children or something like that. And I will never be able to see that. Or Ethiopia, hunger because of famine. I will never be able to be there. But why do I need to be there? I just need to picture what is hunger, what is starvation. If I could picture starvation in any length, that is what I should develop in myself. So waiting to be there means to passively wait till something happens to me. Then to have natural reaction of compassion. But that's why we're human. As Homo sapiens, I don't need to be there. I have the mind. I can develop even a greater compassion from here than somebody who saw it happening. You understand? That's the work of the mind. You have to be proactive about developing sympathy, is it not sympathy? Empathy and empathy in yourself. Sympathy and empathy in yourself, rather than waiting for something to happen from outside. Normally, the things that happen from outside will affect you, but for a short time, it will still wave because I'll fade away. But if you develop it from your inside, that is much stronger. It is the things the feelings that you are able to develop by yourself from inside that will be sustainable, because you'll be able to go back to it and revive it and reconnect it over and over again. But if you are just waiting for it to happen from outside alone, then those things from outside, they only last. So you are going to have to be waiting for different events to happen again. It's just like saying, I'm not a woman and I don't know what it means to be raped. For a long time, I couldn't imagine what it means to be raped. But I have to imagine it to get to see how bad it is. But I would never experience it. So if I'm waiting to experience what rape is, to understand rape, or to hate rape, or to know that rape is wrong, I'm going to wait a very long time to come. And not every woman will be raped anyway. So it is all about inference rather than reference. Inference rather than reference. Yeah. Anybody else want to share their experience?
Yes, I want to speak again about, so the party.
Party?
So the celebration party.
Okay.
Celebration party. So you had the stand there with all the lovely
balloons.
You had the stand.
You removed the mic.
No, it wasn't effective. I think there's something with it.
But she brought her own.
Yeah, it's the device. It's not accepting it. Well, it's cutting it. Okay. Yeah, it's better with this. You can hear it.
Because with the noise, it would have been good to have a mic.
Yeah,
but you said you had your own.
Yeah, mine was the same when I tried it.
Okay, so you had the stand where you had the 50 with the balloons and everything. And typically when somebody is celebrating their birthday, or somebody of some high status, so we have what we call the high table. And what I'm used to is that with a high table, the celebrant stays there. And that is the usual, that is the norm. But for you, you only sat there for a couple of minutes, you left that place and you began to engage everybody table by table. So you began to engage everybody table by table by table by table. And the lesson I learned that day was that you do not see yourself as, even though you're a person of high status and high, personality, you come down to people's level, and you're like Jesus. I could just picture how Jesus was when he was on earth. He always came to the level of people. He always engaged with them. So the lesson I learned that day was that this party, even though it's you are the one turning 50, but it was our party. It was our party. It wasn't DSA's party. Because the parties that we go to is about the celebrant. So we look up to the celebrant and he sits there and it's about them. But all the time I kept watching you, not deliberately, just, because when you see something new happen, you're kind of mesmerized. So all the time, you will be drawing us close to yourself. Even when we were dancing, you said, come closer, everybody come closer. When we were doing the, we held hands, you got us to hold hands and dance together, coming in and out. It was it was about us. So we didn't feel like it was something special just about DSA and his family. The party was about all of us. So we all felt very much part of, we all felt we all felt very much part of the party. And I was thinking, who does that? Because, like I said, normally the celebrant will sit on the high table, will remain on the high table, and they don't engage with the people that come for the party. I don't know whether you've witnessed that, but that's the norm. But all the time, in fact, you were adamant that let's come closer. You were always pulling us towards you, always pulling us towards you. You know, and that made it super special for me. If I have anything to go away with, that will forever remain in my memory. And so for me, once again, it goes back to me seeing how I can be creative in making people feel special in whatever situation, making them feel a part. I'll say one quote-unquote gripe I have against the church is that there's this separation between the members and the leadership, you know, and I would love to see more and more of that, where there's no boundary, just like Jesus. Jesus touched everybody. Whether you were, in fact, when the disciples, I think, you know, Jesus, I don't know whether he was tired or was sitting there, and the disciples, the children wanted to come to Jesus, and they were trying to, you know, to get them away from him, and Jesus rebuked them. When you read the Bible, it said he rebuked the disciples. He was not happy about that. He said, let the children come to me. So Jesus is always about drawing people towards him, and that's you. You always drawing people close to you.
So it's easy for you to imagine Jesus just being at my party.
Yeah, yeah. And it's, you know, it's you and Pastor Boss all the time. You're always touching people, making them feel their personalities, making them feel that they are special. Like you make them feel. You know, I talked about invisibility, feeling invisible. You make people feel that they are the best thing. You give them 100% attention. So that is very special. That is very special.
Now, the same question I will have as like I had for Frank.
Yes.
If you notice all that, I'm more particular about what are you going to do.
That's what I said.
So practically, actually, I simplify that.
Yeah.
Will you be willing to, because you are one person who has bought strongly into the doctrine of my family, not just God's family, but my family, which is good. I believe in family. You know, you have all seen that I have a good family, strong family, good family. But for you to be able to do that, you must be willing to lift somebody else's interest, even above the interest of your family, which is directly against what Christianity talks about these days. But God's interest, God is supposed to be higher, not just than the interest of my family, but than my own interest, than the interest of my wife. So God's desire, God's passion, God's interest. So when you have your party next time, will you be willing to say, hubby, you know, we are going to meet the people? That's what it's about. So I want you to exemplify that to others as well. And to let people, for our hobby and our children to know that even we as a family were created for the sake and purpose of God. And the sake and purpose of God are people. So we are only together for them, to serve them. So we are not here to enjoy our lives. We are here together, better serve them. I want to hear you.
So like yesterday, I shared with all of you how I was very broken. I was happy that the celebration was going on, and at the same time I was very broken.
Okay.
Yes. So at that point in time, I was thinking, asking myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do next? And this is what came to me. I am going to be very particular about my surroundings, about people, because already God has given me sensitivity. I'm going to be looking more towards people who feel invisible. They may look good, they may look all polished, but I'm going to be super. I'll be looking, asking, getting a download, and who here is not feeling.
You want to be more intentional.
Yes, I want to be more intentional. So
that's what you could say with us, right?
Yes.
That I'm very intentional.
Yeah. So it's not just, I'm not just waiting for my party. I'm looking at my neighbor. Anywhere I go, I want to be more observant. I want to be observant, and if it means, if let's say somebody who's dressed in a suit or whatever, I will go and say, are you okay? Are you really? So that's what I really want to do. I really want to touch people deeply. Yeah, I want to be intentional. I have to be.
It's ready.
Yeah. Very. Mine, I'm going to pick it up. There's a few things, but one of them is that of Pastor Boss's gratitude. You could read it
Sunday?
all over every
day.
I think from reading the books, I think she wouldn't have even thought that you will make it to be 50.
She didn't. Yeah, she said that.
Right.
She said that to her,
Yeah.
it's one of the greatest miracles of her life
That's
that
it.
I
could
made
tell.
it on 50.
I could tell. She was extremely grateful with all the death threats, mafia, drug
KGB.
dealers, KGB. There was one I read. There were actually gunmen inside the service that came. And
well, have you started reading that big thing?
I think you live inside me now. More like it.
You are having access to information that most people don't even know.
And so for a woman, to her, I'm speaking from a woman's point of view, and you could see it radiating all over her. And like you said, you woke up and you saw her, you were asking, are you really the celebrant or am I the celebrant? To her, she was the celebrant.
Yes.
Because for all I know, you could have gone to be with the Lord. But I'm the one celebrating this day. And so her gratitude was obvious. And so that was amazing. Also, the children, I was almost weeping when they were making the
speech. Yeah.
It was just, they're just well brought up. The eloquency of the speech that they made, and then I agreed with the parents that was saying that I think my father had been 50 since before now.
He said it's like 150 years.
Because he always talked about it. He always said that. So, and when, was it Zoe that's the younger one, is that when she went down on her knees, that just got me. That was just an emotional time for me. That the children themselves, they were grateful. Because, to us, you said that you had actually prepared them that they could lose you anytime. And so for a child to live with that, and then to now see that really God is faithful to his word, that if you fear to lose your life, and if you, so they too were grateful. It was, an occasion to celebrate life, but to also say thank you, God, that we're seeing this day. And then I appreciated Mama Natasha's faith. When she said that she spoke to the Lord that there should be no rain. And when you were going to go back, there was that, we had the showers. I knew there was going to be no rain. because God is faithful to his word. If he said it, he will do it. And, you know, he says that he will grant the desires of our hearts. And God granted the desires of her heart. And you could see it also in her, you know. I just had to join her, you know. We had to meet you and catch up with you. I think that was, and, you know, it was exuberant. It was amazing, you know. And that also encouraged me that she's been there from like, I think, that was your first convert, I think.
Yes.
You know, the great Natasha. And
alcoholic who became Natasha Apostle.
And I saw one of the broadcasts, she was saying, she's now 70 and this woman, God has used her to do a lot of great things through you. And at 70, do you know her vision now? Now she wants to develop an app.
Internet?
No, it's not even an app. What do you call it?
Social network.
That will connect all alcoholics all over the world.
In every country.
A 70-year-old woman. It's like she's saying no to the devil in every ramification. Look, she said initially she told the Lord, by the time I'm 70, I want to go home. But I've just realized that, excuse me, I think the word still needs me.
Yeah, she said the new technology, I've not used this one.
70. But you could see the excitement in her as well. You know, that imagine if God didn't bring you, where would she be? Probably she would be dead even, you know. So that got me. And then the church setting. I mean, we were brought there. No seats, no. And, you know, it was like first come, first serve.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the faces of some people that you knew that some of us should actually be giving preference now. You know, at least we came from, you know, don't you know who we are? All the way from California, where are you from? Maryland. From Maryland, from Canada, from Israel, where's Pastor Rory from? Or Sweden, or me, Pastor Chris, Ogenembe. Hey, come on. England. Don't you know who I am? You should have set up seats for us now. Yes. But we understood straight away from your personality and from who you are.
No special
that's just it.
No special treat.
You know, everyone is important.
Everyone is important.
In God's eyes. Everyone's equal. Hallelujah. So, you know, just to us, it was just deal with it.
Is it normally like that? People normally have special seats in places?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the normal thing would be like you're having international guests.
Okay.
Special seats would have to be reserved for them, just to honor them. That they actually came.
I will learn.
You know, that they came to celebrate you. They spend their money. They've come to, you know. So you have special seats. You have special buses to bring them to the events. You know, so they don't have to be lost in the crowd, and you understand. And if there were pastors, you did this, you did that. But we understood that. You understand that? Really, quite frankly, every one of these people, everyone is important. As far as God is concerned, none is more important than the other. As far as God is concerned, take away your title. God is not interested in the pastor title that you carry. God is not interested in the doctor title that you carry. That alcoholic, that drug addict that just got saved yesterday, even if she weren't saved, but in that minute, if she's there, she's as important in God's eye as you are. As a matter of fact, the most important person is the lesser. Hallelujah.
That's what the Bible says.
Person, yes. The most important person is the lesser.
Yes.
And so we just had to, we had to deal with it. I mean, I didn't have food and I didn't even care about it. You know, others, I was just so excited that everyone felt connected to you, that they were important enough to even have seats, to even celebrate you. And before you came in, the array, the way they lined up to receive you.
Red carpet.
Oh, that was so beautiful. That was just so beautiful.
In the church, eh?
In the
I don't know,
church.
was there a video of it?
I did a video of it.
Did anybody see any video? I saw the video of the red carpet of the Admiral, but I didn't see any of it.
Coming in.
Did they have it?
I will upload it. I did it. I did it. And it was, to me, going back to everyone is important. Every person is important to God. And I think that's the way you've dealt with people, to make them feel like you're not lesser than I am. You're just as equal in God's eyes.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why you're able to sort of spend time with them, to pour into them, to ask after their welfare. Like the list of the honored, those that were honored yesterday. It wasn't about, you know,
bishops
see the one that had been there since she was a baby or a child.
Yeah, from 8 years old.
See the driver that's been carrying him for 10, 11 years.
15 years.
See the one that's in charge of the kitchen now. And see that woman that said, if they put you in prison, I'm going to go, I'm going to the prison for you. And she meant it. She would take your place. And you were so grateful and went on your knees in appreciation for her heart. Because that was a genuine heart. That got me. And then finally, when you talked about your vision is worth dying for.
I think you are moving finally to the other point without completing. I think I'm feeling that you are not completing each one of the stages.
I'm always...
No, not being a hurry.
Okay, my apology.
I feel in the spirit that you jump.
Okay.
You know, you should expand, you know, more to people and reach the conclusions and, you know, round everyone, at least the last point or everyone the other point, you know, up. Because, you are speaking very anointed stuff.
Somehow I had a new anointing come upon me to begin to make everyone feel so important. The fact that you don't have the posh car, the fact that you come to church by bus, but somebody else came in their Lamborghini or whatever, I don't know the best one, the Mercedes, latest Mercedes. Doesn't mean I give the one with you know, the best seats in the house. No. Because if that person came into your life, even their time they're spending with you, it's so important that you've got to honor them and honor everybody. And I saw that yesterday. And I think the people are so used to it.
Yes.
I mean, the lady that ushered us in was saying, you want to sit down on the floor? I said...
I used to it. I used to it.
She knew where we were coming from. You want to sit on the floor? It's become a culture.
It's become a culture.
It's a house culture.
Yeah. Everybody do what they need to do. Nobody claims anything for themselves. Nobody claims significance or importance. Because I will sit on the floor if necessary.
I had to say to her, no, it's okay. It's okay, Pastor is coming. We will all welcome him. Do you understand? But eventually we were sorted. You know, that's the real gospel. And initially I was wondering, why Pastor is teaching us on time management? Why the many hours? And then God gave me the answer. Those people need the hours. Because you're spending time to touch them.
That's more important than the time.
I'm always thinking of time. I'm like, I've got this to do, I've got to... But then I realized, well, you're working for the people.
It's all about it.
You get to their heart. Jesus gave them time. He gave them days such that for days they didn't have food to eat.
Ooh, my God.
He was still pouring into them until the disciples came and said, Master,
they are hungry.
These people have been with you
for 3 days.
For 3 good days, and none of them had nothing to eat. And he said, okay, you give them food to eat. Because as far as I know, they enjoy the word. I enjoy giving the word. Yes. You know, if you think they're hungry, give them something to eat.
Yes, yes.
And he gave them that time. He spent that time with them. And so that, I got an answer from that. That when it comes to mentoring, you teach us, you pour into us as far as leadership is concerned, but also you're mindful of the fact that you're reaching out to the people, you don't hurry out of their sight. You give them the maximum. I learned from that.
When it comes to administration, business, efficiency, effectiveness, mastery. But when it comes to people, until I communicate God's touch of love to everybody, I've not done my job. Time is irrelevant. I must communicate God. God must be released. Until God is released, not on the message is preached, not on the program is finished, until God is released, nothing gets done. To everyone, personal touch of God's love.
And that was so it's a totally new realm for me. What I'm taking back is the fact that yes, you may be in a hurry to get things done, but don't be in a hurry to touch lives. Stay with them, pour into them, and make them feel that they're the most important person that very minute.
Is there anything that could be done, Pastor Chris, about this thing you have just, even this point you have just made now? Can you and I and all of us make a program on how to make this culture of the kingdom real practical love, practical Christianity, either be imported to Africa or be brought there or be taught? Is there any way we could communicate to the Christendom there, leaders, pastors, Christians, to just leave everything else, all the, everything else, and just become like these things you have just mentioned here? Anything
that's the answer to the church.
How can we take it there now? They are not here now with us, and they are not hearing this thing. Is there anything we can do?
The Bible says faith cometh by hearing. I think we have to just keep
talking
and then doing it. A lot of pastors are actually attached to you. They're associated, and so if we start to live that life,
they are washing some of them.
A lot of pastors are. Yeah, that's just the truth of the matter. No, that's not true. I'm a pastor, and I know a lot of pastors. Yeah, I know a lot of my friends.
What I'm saying is, I don't think they're going to do it.
No, they are doing it. Trust me. There are pastors whose lives are being touched.
They're watching, but they're saying
what pastor is bringing is going to destroy a lot of
theology.
No.
Things they've always.
I still will speak for pastors, though. Do you understand? I still will speak for pastors because there are hungry pastors. There are pastors who don't want to do things the same way. There are pastors that are hungry for the truth. There are pastors that are after God's own heart, and they're crying out for help. And we can't eliminate that. We can't categorize. We can't put everyone in the same box. Yes, there are the odd ones out, but you understand. But there are those who have been waiting for this for a very long time. There are. Not every pastor is in the same. We've got to be careful, because I know that, because I got to that point in life. Our success, everything, that's nothing. But it gets to a point where you need more than that. Because I've often said, listen to me, after all is said and done, you may be the billionaires in your family or in your community. They ain't going to bury you with the wealth. No. You've got to, something starts to crave from within you. And something starts to tell you, I'm more than this. I'm more than this. Something could be better. My life could be better than this. And so you're hungry. You want to go to the next level, but you just don't know how. You try to get to the big guys, you can't get to the big guys. You travel across sea, oceans,
why can't you get to the big guys? What's the problem?
That's what we're talking about. Not reachable, not touchable.
Maybe we should just apply or write a letter or send an email.
Even if you do that, you don't get it.
If they reply, they will give you an appointment.
If you do get an appointment, thank God.
So you think it's not so straightforward? Like
it's not at all. I tell you, listen, a lot of young pastors are actually hungry. But it's difficult for them to get to the top.
That is another lesson.
Yes.
So it means that even if we give people access like this, you can let people be able to come there. So that could even help some people.
That's what I'm saying, because we mustn't just say, oh, pastors are this, pastors are that. Because there are those who are desiring to. And if we don't open our arms wide to welcome them, then we're going to have a problem, because we need the pastors. We need a change in the church. So we must let them know
that we're accessible to them.
That's correct. That's needed.
Because there was a pastor in London. Eventually, I heard he had a problem with, he even went to jail. But he was one of the top 5 pastors in London. I ran into him just by accident in one of the conferences in the United States. And what he was telling me is that, I've been looking for connection to get in touch with you. Somebody to introduce me to you. For 3 years, somebody promised me, then the person couldn't make it. Then I'm trying to look for anybody who could connect me with you.
And that was strange to
you. Yeah.
Because that's the norm. That's the normal thing. Because to him,
why should you wait for 3 years connection? What are you talking about?
Because it's not normal to have direct access. You've got to know somebody, then know somebody, then know somebody.
Just go to my Facebook page. Right?
Tell every pastor.
Yeah, just go to my Facebook page, Messenger. There is something they call Messenger there, or inbox. Private, message. Just inbox. Hi, is that what you did?
And Pastor Sunday will get through to you.
A mail.
I was amazed you answered me personally.
Yeah,
I didn't believe
show him. Wait. Move closer to him. This Pastor.
Yes, I wrote a mail and I received an answer signed Sunday Adelaja. I thought, no, it's probably his assistant who took his name because it's impossible. And but the next answer came next, and I was feeling you were really behind the mail. So I said, well, maybe because even me, I pastor a little church in France. I have disciples, very young people, and I'm just like you. I'm close to people. I love to be close to people. And we were taking coffee with a young person at the church, and many are from an African country. And one friend of her found at this moment from Africa, and the girl said, "Oh, I'm taking a coffee with the pastor." What? She was shocked. You mean you're really drinking a coffee with the pastor? And I said, well, what is the problem? She's now in my country, pastor, even little pastor. They have bodyguards. They are very important person. And you cannot. It's very shocking to have access to be taking a coffee with the pastor. I said, really? And yes. And the same for me also. The bigger the pastor, the harder the access.
And maybe if that pastor had access to you, you must have gone into that mess. Maybe he was looking for help. I knew that. I knew straight away. Maybe he was looking for help at that particular moment. Maybe he was looking for help.
But why should he even think?
Because
so he just assumed that since Pastor Sunday is big.
Yes, I can't can't reach him unless I know someone that knows.
Even the pastor of the church that you are in, serving in, it was a big pastor in the UK too. He wrote a letter to me and said, I'm looking for a way to get you. Is there any way to get connected to you? So when I replied, he was saying, are you sure this is Pastor Sunday? So, but he never wrote again.
Maybe
that was a few years before the problem. 2 years before.
No, it's again.
So,
no, because people won't understand. I understand. Being a pastor, I understand. I sit on their seats.
Then we have to also, all of us, send out the word there, because if they are still thinking that I am still like that, it means I don't have enough information out to let people know there could be something different, or that we are different.
Yeah, because the normal thing is that you don't just go directly to a big man. You're a big guy.
The big man. You have to have somebody who would
You
take
can have
you.
as much success as
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I became a hit after the HMZ.
That's the truth. Pastors are crying out. Pastors, there are pastors that can't even reach their so-called fathers in faith.
No, it's not possible.
Oh yeah. That's true.
There are fathers in faith that don't even know that they are pastors in over some parishes. Because by hierarchy, you can't even get, let me know if I'm talking about certain things. You know, and they're dying inside. And they're not going to talk to their members, their congregation members. They ain't going to go to you understand? So they want someone private that's outside of their own denomination they can relate with. Well, how do they get that? So it's not true that pastors don't want to change. No. Every pastor wants it well with their congregation. They want to have the best. Some might even be too shy to come here thinking if they see us, our denomination, what would they say? If we say this, what would they say? But you better get yourself delivered and just, yeah. Because you only live this life once.
Yes.
And that's it.
But some pastors will come here, but they don't want to comment, or they don't even want to show, they don't want to do interview.
Yeah, because they may face issues when they get back home. Or if they make any sentence, they're called. And that's why I often say to pastors, you had better have your finances in place. That you're not relying on church offering, tithe and offering. Because if you are, then it means you won't be free to carry out whatever you need to carry out, because you're afraid you lose your God is your source. But yeah, because you're afraid if they take you out, or if they suspend you, or demote you, your livelihood is gone. That means you're in big trouble. You better get God to bless you and be in business and make your own money and be free from financial bondage. So you are free to carry out God's assignment. So that you're not trapped.
Start your own church.
People may not even necessarily want, they may not want to do that. But at least you're free. You don't live this life. Your years are counting. And soon you'll be out of this world. What are you going to tell your maker? You fulfilled destiny or you didn't? No. And some because of title. Oh, if I do this, they won't make me
a pastor.
What do you call it?
Overseer.
A real pastor, a zona pastor, or I want to be a provincial. Cut the title, cut the card.
Sir, is it possible to do a special broadcast?
Pastors need help. Pastors are
So
they're
maybe
bleeding.
based on that, because they would come
Pastors
to a
are
thing
bleeding.
like that, they would come and listen. So then, if that's
Or if it's just sessions for pastors, HMTs for pastors.
Oh no, even if it's not HMT, just a live broadcast. Maybe like you do a Saturday summit, just maybe 2 broadcasts or 1, calling on all pastors, because they would come to a forum like that.
How will you title?
How are you going to? Because it's still a worldwide.
It's still a world open for everybody.
Yeah, for everybody to come. Everyone will still be able to tune in.
On our mission or what our purposes.
But even now, it's not free,
Yes. I think.
Yeah, but don't forget when you're watching, your friends are seeing that you're watching. That's something I don't understand. Even if you're not commenting, your friends know you're watching because it tells you so is watching with you. And so people often will go after the broadcast, the live broadcast.
Okay.
That's why you have the number jump.
Okay.
So people often won't join you on live broadcast. I know people who watch my broadcast, they don't come on live. And they'll go in after that. I say, oh God, we saw what you were doing. Wow, that's amazing. We can't even do a thing like that. Why didn't you join me on live and just encourage me? The members are there. Well, if they know I'm also there, you know.
If they are thinking that you're not reachable, and then you come with they would come and they would just, they would come and listen to you, even if it's for the very first one. They would.
And the truth of the matter is, a lot of the pastors are not really building pastors.
No.
Yeah. A lot of the pastors' conferences are not really building pastors. I've been to so many. This is, and that's why I say we can't eliminate the church or write the church off, because pastors need to be poured into. If you were to do a pastors' conference, that would revolutionize.
I would like to. I have so many things to tell pastors.
I'm telling you, that would just.
And believe me, if you know that any topic I take, people have noticed it. We will think I'm an expert in it, any topic. But that is just any topic. But when it comes to pastoral ministry, you've not even had me. Because that is where I am the expert.
And the pastors need that.
That is my area, because that's my calling, that's my area. And I've never spoken about it.
That's it.
In fact, all the topics I've treated so far, they are still not mine. I've not even got into my own core yet. My core topics are national transformation. I've not even spoken about it. Pastoring, ministry, leadership, all those things. I've not even touched them. I'm just leaving them out there.
This was something I was just thinking about coming.
It's pastors' conference.
Pastors, I know a lot of pastors that will say, this is my area, this is my area. I was just telling myself that you are just an expert in every area.
You develop yourself. Develop yourself. That's what I do. You develop yourself. It's difficult.
It's so amazing. I'm just hearing it for the first time from you now that your core area is, I can't wait for it. I can't just wait for it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just the misconception and the information. I have a couple of my pastor friends, who after the HMT, they're like, wow, how did you get to me, Pastor Sunday?
What was the problem?
And then one said, swear to me you will connect me with him, I beg you.
Direct access.
Like,
direct access.
I said, then the other one said, you're my bosom friend. We did ministry back in the days. I beg you, I just want you to connect me with him. That's all I beg. I was like, even one is in the US, is in pastor to one of your friends, whatever. He even comes to Ukraine, but he thinks Pastor Sunday is way out there. So he called me and said, I saw your video. He said, how do you reach him? God has promoted you. I was like, Pastor Sunday is not like that. I said, okay, you know what?
God promoted you. Email, Facebook.
So I said, send him an email and see what happens. And he didn't hear it because it's so simple. Yeah, I said, send him
simple.
It's so simple. I said, no, it can't be true.
How can I just send him?
I was like, Pastor Sunday is the simplest.
I don't think the guy wrote.
He never did. He won't. He didn't believe it.
He needs you to do personal.
Yeah, to hold him by hand and link him. He said, I watch your whatever. I said, I said, okay. And so I sent him the link. I said, follow this, fill out this form, and you get an email telling you how to go there. And you see him one-on-one. He said, no, it's not going to happen. So, I mean, I have like so many of them in Nigeria. They call like, I want to see Pastor Sunday. Do you know how long I've been trying to reach that guy? I'm like,
I mean, seriously.
it's different.
Seriously.
I said Pastor Sunday is different. So I now told them, okay, go and watch the videos. Perhaps when you watch the YouTube streaming, you hear when he always say, send email to pastor at God Embassy. Maybe you would do that if you believe it. You think it's a hoax, but it's so easy to see. That's why I think somebody was saying you're not normal yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not. That's not how everybody does it. You know.
The pastor saw me. I met a young pastor in April at a wedding, and he said, "Oh, Tunde, I've been following your Facebook profile. You're getting very close to people in high places now." I said, "What do you mean?" It seems like you and Pastor Sunday are, I can see your wife is big on Pastor Sunday on Facebook. I said, "Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, we had the... I was just thinking this is normal conversation. I said, "Oh, yeah, actually, we spoke to him on Skype."
What has the church become?
Sir, listen, sir. I said, sorry, I didn't mean to say
No,
listen.
why not? I'm the listening. I know I want to hear.
So I said, we spoke to him 2 days ago on Skype for about half an hour or so. He said, tell me the truth. It's either his media guys are so good at bringing people together to make it look like he's very free with everybody, or is it that he's that free? I mean, he
So
can't
they are
be
not
that,
even believing what they are saying?
Yes.
he can't be that free. Everybody is in his face, is with them. I said, yeah, it's like that. Just so the church.
So he was asking you to tell him the truth.
See, as a friend, tell me the truth. Is this something that the media team, the engineer, it's a make believe, or is it really true? I said it is very true. That's who he said. No.
The pastors are really hard to get. You know, they're segregated. There's protocol, and there's a list. Pastor, you have to go through some kind of hierarchy once first. Why do you want to see him and all of this? So they never believe that it's true, that, you know, they can just be one-on-one with you like that.
I mean, the other ministry where I do, before that pastor used to be in campus ministry. So back then, when we were in school, we followed him to all those campuses, minister. And then he started the one in Lagos, and it began to grow. And I knew when we used to have access to him, like we were all like close. And then one of those Sundays, he just announced a change in system. That from now henceforth, you know, you can't see him anymore. I knew the days, like yesterday, that he announced that. So from that day going forward, you couldn't have access to him. He could be in the office and the secretary is there, say, want to see him, you can't see him. Because that's instructions that you cannot have access to him. He's too busy. And even when he started it, he wasn't that busy. We weren't even up to 1,000, you know. And the ministry then, you know, exploded. But that system had already been in place. Nobody can have access to him. You can't even see him, you know. So I think it's a culture that's manufactured. And also what is created, because Kenneth Hagin said something about when he changed his messages. There was a time when he would pray, and it was, and when he would preach and teach that as if all the anointing was on him, and the church didn't have access to God. And then after service, there would be a long line to see him, and then he would lay hands. Another 4 or 5 hours, he still lay hands after service. So he changed his message to let people know that I am just like you. You know, the minute you get born again, you have access to the Father. And then the lines reduced. because people's questions were answered in the message. All that question they wanted to see pastor to ask was already answered. You know, people believed in themselves that, wait a minute, I can do it. He said the believer should lay hands on the sick and they'll recover. You know, so everybody, so the lines reduced. So at the end of service, instead of having like the whole church line up to see him, it was maybe 4 or 5 people who want to see him for just, and then he could attend to them, and then he was able to see them and go home and still have a life. So I believe some of those, that behavior or that culture is actually manufactured to also keep people in a certain box and then keep the pastors on a different pedestal, you know, and then it became the norm, you know. And even if a young pastor starts his ministry and then he starts to grow, then he looks at his colleagues who, oh, nobody can see me. Then he invents that same system. Nobody can see him. But at the end of the day, the effectiveness is not there. You're not touching more people. Many people's lives are not being changed. You know, so it's so refreshing to see that, you know, you can come to Pastor Sunday and it's just access. You know, like way back then, somebody asked me, oh, who's your mentor? I said such and such. They're like, oh, he's not your mentor. I'm like, why? He said, you don't have access to him. And I'm like, you're right. I don't have access to him. I get access to him. So I really can't call him a mentor because if I really, 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 really have to see him, I can't. So I said, okay, I'm not in the top 10 or the CEC, the Central Executive Council. Even those in the Central CEC can't even see him when they want to.
Of that denomination?
Yes, there's sometimes he doesn't want to see anybody. He shuts everything down. CEC can't see him for weeks. I mean, and it's like living a mysterious life, and you don't really know him. So when
Is this a ministry in Nigeria?
Yes. So it's like you don't know him. So, you know, when I came to HMT and Pastor was talking about the fact that he made a mistake when he was pulling crowd, and then he had to restructure everything. And at a point, because he was telling us the origin of HMT, that at a point he wanted to say everybody go home, and it was like, no, that's too extreme, you know. And then he restructured everything. He wanted people to meet him. That if you knew me, you wouldn't be saying what you're saying, because had you had a one-on-one contact, you would actually know that what I'm doing you can do. And I was like, wait a minute, is that why you gave birth to this? Like, that's like giving people access to you that nobody wants to give access. And the gift of access is actually what makes a difference. We can all come here and watch, observe closely, you know, and he's asking, what did you learn? And then you say, okay, I saw how you did this. Those are practical examples that stick with you for life. This is more than words. Yes. You're actually observing how he, you know, hugged somebody, how he, you know, did this, so you're actually looking at the technology in place, how he walks that quote unquote magic of touching people, of making them feel special. You watch it closely, like a living practical example, you know, so it's more real. So that gift of access, you pick it up in HMT, you pick it up in the lifestyle, in the system, you know, like, you know, Pastor Chris was saying, you know, you come, it's like there's no special seats, you know, everybody's special. And then you have to get with the program. This is different. This is the kingdom, you know. So the gift of access speaks way more volumes. And you discover that when people go through him, they have a lot more to offer their world because they are well grounded in their mind and in their hearts. All the wires have been reset, you know, and everything is just different. And then we're at that event, he gave gifts to the photographer, and we're like, wait, this is supposed to be like the top 10 as are receiving these gifts, you know, to the driver, to the cook. So come on. It just messes up with the way we've been thinking that this is how the Bible, because now you go back to the Bible like, wait a minute, that's actually what the Bible said, but we skipped it.
The gospel is pointing people to God.
To God.
Yes, letting people know God is so they can have direct access.
Access to God.
That's it. That's it. No one should be standing. Jesus, you know, already stood, but the veil rented, so each one of us can have direct access to the Most High.
I think I also think part of this, if you look back about 15, nearly 20 years ago, there's this book that started doing the circles among young pastors. It's called The 48 Laws of Power.
That was a Ben.
No, but
Benny.
You know about?
Yes.
And when you read that book,
You
you
think when you say you would think it's a Christian, it's a Mafian book.
I didn't read the
It
book.
teaches Mafian. Yes.
40 laws of
48
leadership.
Laws of Power.
Power.
John Green, God bless you. And one of the law is, as a leader, use scarcity to increase your importance.
Yes.
Keep yourself at a distance where your congregation can see you, but far enough that they can't reach you.
That will work in the secular, but it doesn't work in the church.
But it did.
That's what the
It
church
should-
is.
no, no,
That's
no.
what the
Because
pastors adopted.
in the circular, it would
Very
work,
true.
you know. But even then, though, there's still an element of falsehood in that. Because
Deception.
Yeah, deception in that. Because if you don't touch your people, look at Richard Branson going on the aircraft and serving the passengers.
Ma'am, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, some of these things started
Come
from there because they adopted that book
Right.
as
Scarcity.
the prototype,
for the leadership.
the template for leadership. It's called the 48 Laws of Power. You didn't know that, but they gradually, because I read that book, and I started at some point aligning my leader with some of the rules in that book, and I could tick them like, yes, that's right, yes, I can see that. No, seriously.
Like manual.
Exactly, like manual. And the book just went around, it did a lot of rounds among the pastors then.
There's always barricades.
Yeah.
They will set up barricades, you can't go near the people that are so far. You're coming to bless them. And they are in awe. But there are and you cannot, and the securities are keeping people away. It's completely wrong. Jesus wasn't like that.
I saw that book. I didn't even buy it because I wanted to buy it. 49 Laws of Leadership. So I saw it in the bookstore. But I tried to flip through it. And when I started seeing the topics, I just said, this is demonic. It is demonic. It's not even principles. That's why one of the reasons why I started writing books for the secular people. You see my books now, they are not too religious.
Yes.
They are more for the general public, and this because they must be replaced. If these demonic principles could be brought
To the church.
open like this, to the society, the kingdom principles must be written in such a way that they are the ones. So I want to do the opposite of what that 49 laws are doing. It is totally the opposite. And what God said we should do is to take the principles of the kingdom of God into the society. So I want to counteract those. But if you tell me that there are pastors reading that book, I can't believe it.
But that would be it.
Not reading it, doing it.
They have it.
I bought it. I read it.
It's not possible.
I bought it. I said I've read it. That's why I say it's a Mafian. It contains Mafian principles. I bought it. I read it and discarded it because.
And you are not the only pastor in Nigeria who has bought it.
Oh. If you were not buying it, you won't see it on Christian.
Christian?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Christian bookshop.
Yeah. Christian bookshop?
Yes.
No, it's not possible. Because the place I saw it was not. It was a communist place.
So where I saw that book first was in my pastor's library.
It's not possible.
And I borrowed it from there. I read it.
And you gave it back.
Pastor's?
Yeah. In his personal library.
Maybe somebody. Because it's on leadership, so they want to move on leadership.
That is the operation right now, sir. That is the preparation right now.
49 laws of
48
laws of
That's how they operate when you
I didn't read it.
Share.
I just looked for the
Even if we will highlight some of the rules, just Google 48 laws of power, they will highlight some of the rules there.
Just like one of the chapter pastors of that, my previous ministry, was a younger pastor, not even in the central whatever, just a state pastor. He was coming to our own state to do an outreach. So we set up platform. We had worked 3 days. Then he showed up with like 12 bodyguards with like big biceps, and we're like, so we kept quiet because he was a little bit more senior and he could call the shot. So during the service, he just placed all the bodyguards all over the place, and they were wearing glasses, like like a Nollywood movie scenario. I'm like, who's gonna kill you? Like, you're not even important.
Who said?
I said in my head, he's my boss. I was like, okay. So during the service, people were even scared to come out to receive Jesus because the bodyguards were like,
look at that.
when it was time to like altar call, people weren't coming out because nobody
want
to go
Jesus down my seat.
So it's a culture. Everybody quickly want to be important, like instantly.
It's a celebrity.
And
that's true. What I retain is that good people are wasting time because they are not in contact with the
Exactly.
They have a good heart, they want to learn, but they don't have access nor to the good person, nor to the real truth they need to develop themselves. I saw that in my life so much.
That's it. Because you're a pastor, right?
Yes.
That's
and
it.
in France, it's very, the Christian world is so. That's why I've learned English to have access to books.
Wow.
Because
good
they are little. One time I say with pastor, for years, my spiritual fathers are the books.
Wow.
My first pastor told me, you don't have to read.
Wow.
Because I have new ideas. I said, maybe I think the Lord is calling me to live by faith. Maybe I'm going to start my ministry by faith and leaving the denomination. I said, no, you're crazy. Now it's not this time. It was in the past time for the missionaries, but now you can't live by faith. You need insurance. You're crazy. So I say, maybe I'm young. Maybe I don't know. And say, where did you get that idea? Say, well, I read it in book. No, you're not. You're reading too much book. You don't read the Bible. You don't have to read any books. So I was submissive, but this one I didn't obey. Because books, without books, I could not be where I am today.
No. That's it.
And many good people are not in the good place. So we have to find something to make the connection.
You couldn't read other people's books, so that already shuts you down from using your learning. You couldn't. If it's only the ministry's books that you are supposed to read, you can't walk into church with another book from another minister or whatever. They will shut you down immediately. Like, why are you reading that book? You're gonna go astray, and then you have to throw it away. You might as well tell me not to study math because it's also written by somebody else. So it's just a culture. And like Pastor Chris said, there are people who are yearning for a change, but for the most part, they're not at the level of effecting a change, top to bottom, where, if it's like maybe the head of ministry who can call the shot and say, going forward, this is the direction we're going to go, this is the order of things. But they're usually like underneath, serving, taking instructions.
They depend on the system.
Yes. So they're really a little bit helpless. And for those of us that are like, who have like an open mind or who had enough, a lot of people, they have to have enough to come out of the church. Enough of
money, finance, what you said.
Okay.
Yeah, and also enough of punishment from the system.
Ah.
you know, like he was tired at some point.
Enough of pain,
Yes,
suffering.
he has to get to the point where like he couldn't take it anymore. So a lot of
That was serious.
Yes.
That was no.
yeah,
That
you
was
just have to get to that point where, look, my brain is not working anymore. I just need to breathe, and then you're now leaving that system, and you know.
But you stretched though 5 years. You stretched.
You tried. 11.
I mean, from when you started saying no, and that's 5 years. The idea of the loyalty must have really been so embedded.
Let me say this. Just
Wasn't
because
it?
of what you said.
Yeah.
Look for a book on rebellion and disloyalty to evaluate and examine. Because I was, is it that I'm getting rebellious now, or is it that I'm getting disloyal? So I had to go. I even have the books, 2 books. I found it very difficult to even see a book written on that topic. I was able to get 2. I read through it. So I began to caution myself in some areas that I felt that okay.
But some of those books are written to imprison you. More.
That's true.
Because the book, somebody gave me the book, the lawyer and disloyalty.
That was demonic.
Totally demonic. Totally demonic. It's not the spirit of Christ. And people are crazy about that book.
Oh my God.
Pastors, they want people to read that book. They want people to, to be submissive. It helps people to, but it's cultivating fear and bondage and telling people to be loyal. So everybody is afraid to be called disloyal. And anything that is done out of fear
It's not of God.
is not of God. So when I said it first, to people to hear that book is demonic, and they said the person who wrote it is a big shot. They even said the guy likes me, and the guy speaks good about me. But I said it doesn't matter. Truth is the truth. If he's cultivating that idea, he doesn't know. He might be doing it in ignorance. He might be a good guy. But those books, he has 2 of them.
Yeah.
I've already said it.
I know. This one? I know it is.
You know?
Because we want
You
to
know
help. We want to help people.
Yeah, I've already said it now. Everybody knows
I
it.
didn't hear it.
Who didn't hear? Who
I
has?
didn't hear it. That's what.
You didn't hear?
What? I didn't name the title of the book.
Okay.
And the
You didn't hear? Okay, it's a very popular book in Africa. Yes, and I don't know, maybe that's the title, but I think it's called Loyalty and Disloyalty or something.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I know the book.
Okay.
I've read it.
But I think it was written from the point of
I read it all, so I know. But when you compare it with the point
now you see.
now left
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I think you need to
It doesn't matter. Even when they do it, bless them.
You're free.
You don't respond with what people. Okay, for example, people have left me, and people keep leaving me all the time. But it doesn't matter. I shouldn't build a doctrine that will be against the nature of God just to prevent people leaving me. People will have their evil tendencies. People will have their weaknesses. And people will even succumb to demonic manipulation, betrayal. Betrayal is reality. So people will be betraying you and something. But no problem. You don't build a doctrine so that people don't betray you. Unless you can build a doctrine to change the nature of man. If you cannot build a doctrine to change the nature of man, you don't try to do it. God himself didn't build a doctrine to prevent disloyalty or to prevent betrayal.
Wow.
Because God himself, yes, it happened in heaven. God himself was betrayed. But it would not, it would not succumb and come down to a place whereby it will put manipulative things in place just to stop it was now say, okay, it is the willpower that gives you the ability to do too much freedom. I have to change and contain the willpower tendencies. No.
He didn't do that.
He remained himself. So even people who missed it, and people who fail, and people who hurt me, and people who inflicted a lot of pain on me, I still have to respect them. Even when people betray you, they have their reasons. Their reasons might be wrong, but they have their reasons. And whatever they do, they will reap. Yeah. That is enough for me. But I will not now begin to say, build a whole doctrine that will now affect other people that are not even betraying me, that are still there, and put them in a cage, that they have to be loyal and something. You don't need to be loyal to me. Even the people I say betray me, they are still worshiping God their own way. Even the people who betray me and stab me in the back, God is hearing them all, and they listen to their prayer. And even the ones who wanted to kill me the most, they are still praying to God, though, and God is still calling himself their God, and they are calling themselves God's children. So, you know, I don't have a monopoly to God, and they have access to God just like,
Nobody has a monopoly to God.
Yeah, just like they have access to God, like I have access to God. And then, even if they were wrong, let's assume they were wrong and they did something terrible. Why is it that God himself didn't turn his back on them? You know, God didn't turn, he's not turning his back on them just because you betray Sunday. God is still hearing their prayers. They are still doing their own devotion. They are still praying in their own churches. And God is still answering them, just like he's answering me. But some of us would like God to take my side against my enemy. But thank God, God cannot be bribed. And God cannot be manipulated. Because God is seeing beyond the pain they inflicted on me. God is seeing beyond what I call betrayal. Okay, for example, let's say when the greatest betrayal I had was when this company, King's Capital, happened. And 40% of my pastors turned their back and left. 40%. This is because they were hearing news. The government, KGB, police, everybody put out news to make people to think that I was actually a mastermind behind the collapse of the company. And they were saying it, giving interviews, that we have evidence that Pastor Sunday has stolen all the money and take it to Africa, and he wanted to run away and things like that. And they were just, so some of these people who left me started having questions, could it be true? So it means that this man is been lying to us. The government said it now, the police said it, the minister said it. So they were so disgusted, disappointed, because they were not listening to the Holy Spirit, they were listening to the news. So they felt, we cannot be with this man. If he's teaching us one thing, but that's their own perception. So because they followed the news of the day, some people, the public opinion influences them for one reason or the other. This is just the world we live in. Not too many people are strong enough to come against the whole country, are strong enough to stand when everybody wants to be instigated and they still be enduring it. So either they believe or they don't believe, but whatever happened, it means, maybe let's say, they probably thought they were doing the right thing at that time. Because they probably thought maybe he's actually doing what he's being accused of. And because of that, I don't want to have anything to do with them. You know? So they have a reason. So everybody have their own reasons why they do whatever they do. Or maybe somebody's parents put pressure on them or relatives. So I would call it betrayal because they left me. Is it really betrayal? Maybe yes, maybe not. They just had to take a decision, and they took the decision that didn't favor me. But they did take a decision that favored them, so good for them. So were they right? They were wrong. But did they know that they were wrong? Maybe they didn't know. They were believing at that particular time that they were right. So is it betrayal? I'm not sure. Even though it looks like that to me, from my own perspective. You say, so why is it that God is not turning his back at them? Because God is seeing their own perspective too. And I'm seeing just my own perspective. God is seeing what I'm not saying. And he's seeing what they think. Even if they have believed lie at this particular time, but they are being motivated by what they have believed, by the conviction they have right now. So, do I need to be bitter about that? I don't think so. Because I'm thinking, for example, do you know this person that I've just spoken about now, who wrote this book? I've heard that he's talking good about me. He likes me. He's a good guy by himself. But I am going on worldwide Facebook and saying that book is demonic. Loyal and disloyal, or whatever they call it. So that is demonic. It is not written by the Spirit of God. Even though with good intention, because I read it, the good intention is to protect church and to protect pastors from splitting, church split. That is the intention. I read the whole thing. I read the first one, the second one of the book. So he has good intention in the flesh, from man's perspective. But no matter your intention, you must not contradict the nature of God and the mind of God and the understanding of God. And God's nature has to be the same. So, but in the eye of his followers and himself, they will say, I'm stabbing him at the back. But some people have written me before, and I say, why don't you write to him personally? Talk to him. Or why don't you go to him? Why should you talk about it publicly? You know, but I have my own reasons why I'm doing that. So, somebody will say, I'm betraying somebody. Somebody will say, I'm backbiting or backstabbing. So, and they have the right to also think, so who is wrong or who is good? So a lot of things that we might be thinking are evil or people do bad, it depends on perspective. But we shouldn't build doctrines around my feelings, our feelings, or what we feel is right or wrong. The only right perspective is God's perspective. You know what I'm thinking? So we have the tendency to think that some people are bad, are rebels, or some people are betrayers, or some people are disloyal, or this. This is an evil by itself. Because that means that we are stigmatizing people. We don't like to be stigmatized. So why should we stigmatize people? So what's the answer to that? The answer is give the people benefit of the doubt. Let God judge. God has said, don't judge before it is time. You know, say your opinion, but don't judge people. Express your own feelings, but don't judge people. Let God judge. Let God be the judge. Do what you believe is right to be done. And they are doing what they believe is right to be done. Yes. If yes, please.
I just wanted to say, I think the whole problem with
Louder a little bit. English church. You have seats for everybody. You have enough seats? Okay.
I think what I just wanted to say was, I think the main all these pastors that are like putting up all these structures and stuff is all down to. I think it's just all down to humility, because if they humbled themselves enough to know that I'm no better than anyone in my congregation, then they wouldn't have all the bodyguards and stuff. Because I've seen like churches where the pastor will like just say stuff, and if anyone has a question, they have to go through so many stages to get to talk to them and stuff. So I think just reteaching humility, but then again it will be hard because most of them don't want to listen. Like they think I'm this high up and I've gotten this far, and people respect me because of my status. So it would be hard to get through to them. But I think just reteaching like what it really means to serve people instead of the importance of being served or looked up to out of something other than genuine respect, because I think the only reason why their congregation are staying is because they're afraid that they'll be like punished for not being apparently loyal to them. So I think just reteaching like the importance of humility in leadership would kind of diffuse all the problems like that. But yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thoughtful.
Are we still on the subject of
Sharing
our thoughts on the anniversary, because we've defected now to church and pastors, which is one of the things that really aches from my tummy to my head on the issue of pastors and churches. I think I have something to say on both, but since we're on the issue of pastors and churches, I think if really right now just said everything in a subtle way. In my opinion, I think that there's a lot of deception from pastors and even the congregation. We're all deceiving each other, and we need to stop doing that. And also, in order to just get an agreement on this, I think maybe we should also define what pastor is and what a church is, what it means, the word church and what the word pastor means. I have, from knowing Pastor Sunday, I have now realized that even if you call yourself a pastor, if you don't have the content of a pastor, a real pastor, you're not a pastor. Just like a hamburger, it could be called hamburger, it doesn't have ham in it. There's no beef, it is beef. Okay? So that is my opinion. It's just as simple as that in terms of understanding pastors and pastor understanding themselves. We need to stop. We need to stop this deception to ourselves, and we need to stop the deception to other people. It first said in terms of understanding or knowing what service is and loving God and loving people. I think a lot of people need to die to themselves. If they really want access to Pastor Sunday, they have access. Everybody here had access. God gave us all minds, and we used our mind. We took the access. Some people said they've heard of Pastor Sunday 10 years ago, and only now they came closer to him. Because they made a choice. It is a choice. I personally don't think that other pastors did any special access or revolution to come to him. They choose not to. But I'm not saying this in judgment of them. I'm saying it because they need to die. We all need to die to ourselves. Pastor Sunday's died what I see of him is dying to himself, to his own ego. Forget about ego. What is your motive? Do you love God because of what you are gaining, because of the respect, because of the people being loyal to you? Why is it important that people are loyal to you? You should be loyal to God. You're a tool for God, not for other people to be loyal to you so that you be supreme on earth. So I think with regard to pastors and churches, I try to limit what I say because also I'm representing Dr. Sunday, but we need to stop this deception, and we all need to take responsibility for ourselves and for other people. Pastors taught us to use our mind. We had a whole series on mind. What makes us superior to animal is our mind, and if we can use those minds. Animals give birth, they get together, animals eat, they have body, they grow and everything, but they don't use their mind. If you see a dog, you call it dog, it will come to you. If you see any animal, if they see something, they just go to it. But as human being, Homo sapient, we need to use our minds, and we don't use it. We let other people control us in a way that even though we know in our spirit is wrong, but what is our motive for even accepting that control? You know, what is their motive for what they're doing, and what is our motive for accepting the control? We really need to start engaging our mind and also knowing who we are sent from. Are we sent by God, or are we just on this earth to just be part of a number? So understanding that as well is key for us. So I don't agree with the pastors that they need help, they feel like they can't get close. They know what to do, but when it really hurts them, when it pains them, just like it hurts you all being here, and you know that you needed the deliverance, you needed the knowledge. You heard Pastor Sunday, it was delivering you, it was freeing you to be the person that God wants you to be. It was saying, go and do this. You don't need permission to come to him. You don't need to pray. You don't need a pastor. You are your own pastor. You are your own priest. I heard everything he was saying. You are an anointing. All this manipulation that they use, don't touch my anointing, and they're all feeling good. So you're not anointed. They are anointed. So God in heaven decided to anoint them, and they left you out so that you could be, you know, all those things. And Dr. Sunday was sharing that with us day in, day out. And rather than these people receive it, they're hating him for it. If you look at the comments on this YouTube, the pastors, they use pseudonyms. Some of them are pastors, they use their own names, insulting him on the things that is truth and liberating to the world. It's liberating people. So it's not that these people, it's because they're enjoying, in my opinion, they're enjoying their life. They've been dreaming about being pastor for many years so that people can say sa, 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 ma, ma, ma for them, you know, especially in Africa, especially of African descent. They love it. They love the limelight. They love what they're enjoying in it. And even Pastor Sunday has told us about his beginnings. And the middle in HMT, he told us what happened. And even when people start to betray him, and when everything started to happen, how that changed him. That is somebody that can see that, okay, I was wrong at some point. Where are all these other pastors that I am wrong? Where are all the people that knows pastor? Where are your pastor friends that you know that are watching pastor? Why are they not here? Why are they not learning from him and liberating you? So, but it's not important for them. It's not important anymore. What is important is you, what you are doing. Are you going to continue in this deception and give them excuses and make excuses for yourself as well? Dr. Sunday has asked us so many times today that from what you've learned from him, what are you going to do differently? How are you going to live your life differently? So are you going to die to yourself as well and just live for God? And even if somebody did something wrong to you, even if they stab you in the back, is your focus going to be on them, or is it going to be on Christ? Is it going to be on what God did for him, what God did for us? You know, one thing during these last 3 days, I've come to understand Dr. Sunday even a little bit better, because my months of being here, I just don't understand how it could be this way, or how the whole family could be this way. And one thing that I know is that in terms of the word in the Bible and the word of God, it takes them literally. And it's not just the word of God, it even takes the word of human. It takes your word literally. So if you say something to him, he believes it totally. Even if you've just lied to him and you say another word of truth, he will believe that word. And I think that was to separate him from everybody else. You know, if God made a promise, he believed the promise. He said when he started believing in God, or when his sister told him the chapter in the Bible. I don't know, I'm sure people you all remember when his sister told him the chapter in the Bible and said that you would be the head, not the tail, and all that. He believed it. How many of us read anything in the Bible or those words and believe it to ourselves and believe the words of God, that God is saying that to me, not saying it to just my anointed pastor, but he's saying it to me. So let's just stop the deception. Let's stop the excuses that we make for others and especially for ourselves. Let's love people truly. You know, hate the sin, don't hate the sinner. You know, what is happening with pastors and everything. Yes, I am not judging them at all, but I don't want to go in circle of this deception and we're constantly analyzing this, they're doing this, they're doing that. I want us to really focus on what we're going to do differently and not join and continue in that lies Because we're not lying to anybody. We're lying to ourselves. We're lying to our purpose. We're lying to what God has already given us on earth to dominate. We're not dominating. We're just deceiving. And we need to stop. You know, we're deceiving each other. We're deceiving other people. You know, we need to stop it and stop the manipulation of how this has to be or how our focus should be on Christ and on us fulfilling our purpose. Dr. Sunday told us in the question time that we're here because my understanding was that because God doesn't have flesh, so we are God's flesh. I have never heard that from anybody. And that really got me. I was crying for days because I was so selfish. I was into myself. I still think I am into myself, even now. I'm so into myself. I have to deliver. I have to develop myself not to be into myself anymore and just be into God and love people and love and live for my purpose, identify my purpose and live for it. But do we understand that we're not here for, you know, babies, marriage and all those things, even though they're good things, they're bonuses that God is giving us. But do we actually understand why we're here? That we are God in flesh, and we should demonstrate that. We should live like God in flesh, love like Jesus, serve like Jesus, sacrifice like Jesus. But we don't do that. He does that. So everyone that is, you know, your friend Jeff that is saying that, what is, even after you're speaking to the person saying that, you know, just contact them, send an email. So is that not deception that person is lying to themselves because they're still waiting for you to connect? The person is not ready. There's nothing there. The person is not prepared to do what they need to do because maybe, you know, sometimes I don't do things because I realize that if I do this, what I feel like I am enjoying, I'm not going to enjoy anymore. But that's my deception. I'm deceiving myself because I believe what I have now is better than what I haven't seen, what I haven't touched. So I'm holding on to what I have now. So what are those pastors holding on to? They're holding on to false power. Because why would anybody read even 48 laws of power? Who do you want to dominate? Do you understand? I've seen the book. I have the book because it was presented. Who do you want to dominate to get the power?
Your mind is so,
you know?
Your mind is so good. God has done so good work with your mind.
Thank you.
Just keep on talking because who do you want to dominate?
Why do you need the power?
Not supposed to dominate anybody in the first place.
So come here. You're created by God to come on this earth to be the flesh that do the walking, the going around and doing what He asked you, what He proposed you to do when He created you. So why are you here to come and learn to dominate anybody? The difference between pastor,
to dominate church members.
to dominate church members. What is church to you? What is a pastor to you? What we see, the reason we're all here is because He liberated us. He told you that you have your mind, you have power, you have authority. God created you because He loves you. He has empowered you. All the people that put you down and subdued you, they have lied to you. You know, they forgive them, forget about them, but now start taking dominion. I remember times in my room, in my car, when I'm going to work. Those are the things I'm hearing from Him, saying that come out. Don't even pay them any mind. This is what God has said. Believe me, it is in this book. He will read for the people that ask Him for scriptures. He will give them scriptures and say, okay, you want scriptures? Because there's some people, they still come online and start saying, no, how did that? These are the people He's trying to save. They're so in the prison that they wouldn't even...
They are defending their oppressors.
Yes, exactly. They're defending the slave masters and saying...
Fighting against their deliverer, their liberator.
And I say that it's like, okay, all right, wait. It will tell us, wait. You know, I remember in the mornings, maybe I'm jogging or I'm out in the car. I remember, okay, this scripture, go to this, and He would explain it, that those people would have nothing to say. Where are those people now? What is stopping them? Where are those pastors? They don't want it. They don't want the truth. They want to still continue to enslave people until something arrests them, until they start to feel pain, until pain comes to inflict on them and feel how you're feeling, how they're imprisoning everybody, then they will come. But to say that, oh, they're in pain, they don't want to come, no. All of us are hungry. We came because we are hungry. We wanted liberation. We believe that there is liberation. We believe there's God. Not because it was convenient for us. You know, you all sacrificed something to be here. So where are they? So I don't want to engage because, yeah, everybody have to have rights. But please, it's just a pleading. Please don't let us continue to engage in deception, making excuses for other people. If God makes you see, God also is equally great that it would also make them see if they want to see. Pastor Sunday was talking about the will. You know, God could strike anybody. He could do anything, but he wouldn't even do it. He gave us free will. He gave us equal mind to think, but we choose not to. I have chosen not to in the past, but I'm trying my best now to repent against not using my mind, you know, living for myself, not loving people, not loving God, not wanting the purpose of God. I just wanted to be for myself, but it's not about that. We're here in flesh. We are God in flesh, and we need to demonstrate that.
Don't you believe that there are innocent people, hungry people, desperate people out there, but can't just make themselves to believe that Pastor Sunday is actually accessible because they have been so conditioned. You know, it's about human conditioning, and it's about human psychology. If we have, if not just human, but even animal, any animal that is tied down, and for a long period of time, after some time will not go beyond that distance. So these people have been told that to get to big man, a big pastor up there, that you don't just walk from the street to them. Now you are telling me that Pastor Sunday is like that. You can walk up to him. But even people who are living here in Ukraine, even people who are my church members, even some of these people who are coming out of greet me, some of them don't have the boldness to just come and see me. Not because I say you can't see me. They from somewhere, I don't know where, they have come to believe that you can't see pastor. Even though I'm demonstrating it every day, trying to scream to the world, that, I'm here. But some people, because of that conditioning, don't you know that there could be some people like that who are sincere, and it's actually that sincerity that makes them to be so gullible and fall into that, because they so want to serve God. They think this is the symbol of God, and it is that thought that has really led them to that captivity. There might be people there sincerely who might find it just difficult to believe that they could actually be privileged. You don't think so?
No, I think again there is some sort of there's something that they're holding on to continue to be that way, because if we're saying that there's something there, then we're removing God that revealed those things to them, that reveal if they didn't know you or they didn't see you at all, and they don't have knowledge of this. Like there are people in this world that they don't have knowledge of maybe the Bible, or they don't have knowledge of the truth. I accept that with those people, because nobody have ever told you. But repeatedly, somebody telling you, what would you say to the situation of Jeff and his friends? Write an email, even if it's not going to happen. At least would you not write the email?
Yes, I wrote it.
Yes.
Without being
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with those people, but I feel like because they're so deep in deception, self-deception, then they wouldn't until they come out of it. Because if you're seeing somebody day in, day out saying the truth, saying something, and something in you is still rebellious. I don't want to use the word rebellious, because both good and evil use that word, but something in you is not taking the action. So who is to blame? Even if God would say, my people are destroyed. My people, he didn't deny them. But because you had lacked that wisdom, you lack it. You have to exercise it. If God reveals something to you, if you have revealed that this person exists, even if you're going to crawl to that person to seek what you need and take the truth.
Desperate.
Exactly. So to say that they're until it hits them, you know, until it really hits them hard, then they will. Because I don't know.
But you know that there are so many people in this world who never heard of Pastor Sunday before.
Yes.
So what do you say about that?
I think that's what comes in. I'm coming, sir. That's what comes in when you said that we all, you know, when we were talking just a few...
Even you are living, I've been here, you just got to know me last year. Come close to me. Where were you before that?
Yes.
And I've been here for 30 years.
Sir, I didn't know...
And I've been on the internet since, I don't know when, since internet started. And my messages have been more than 10 years out there in the internet. So what will you say about it?
Okay, well, my case is I've only heard of Dr. Sunday's name twice before I saw him on Facebook. And on the two occasions where my pastor in the church said that I've just come to Ukraine, I'm bragging about going to Ukraine and the persecution that Dr. Sunday is going through, and he's still serving God, and what are we doing, in a way where he said we're not coming to church, but he manipulated the situation by saying, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not doing enough in the church, not what you're doing in the kingdom. It's just like, what are you doing in the church? So I didn't understand the kingdom, and I was just tired. I hear him all the time, you know, chastising us, saying we're not doing anything for the church, we're not doing enough. And I'm doing my best at the time. I mean, from what he's giving me is what I have that I can give. So when he mentioned his name, on those two occasions that he mentioned his name, I just know of his name. I didn't even Google to find out or check out who the pastor is, because our pastor mentioned so many names, different pastors. So how many people am I going to be checking? So I didn't. So, but when I came across him myself on Facebook, I said that, oh, I'm tired of pastors. I'm not, you know, there's so many pastors nowadays. I don't even know what it means to be a pastor anymore. It's just a title, Mr. Pastor, you know, uncle, whatever. So I said, okay, I'm going to give him 5 minutes. I think that was God, because at that time I was
give me 5 minutes.
Yes. That I'm going to give. Yeah. Yeah, I said I was going to give him 5 minutes. This is another pastor, but because, you know, that name Sunday is familiar from what my pastor mentioned. Let me see what it looks like, and also give him 5 minutes, because he was very passionate about what he was saying. He just came on, and he was welcoming everybody with zeal. So I said, okay, I'm going to give him 5 minutes. This 5 minutes is where I am now. You know, the 5 minutes. Yeah, I will always give a chance. Like 5 minutes is my chance. Even if I'm watching a TV program, I would say 5 minutes. And if my 5 minutes is done and nothing captivates me, I'm out of it. So it was exactly the 5 minutes, and I didn't. The 5 minutes ended, and he was saying that I'll be back. I said, oh my God, you know, don't go. I was screaming on, you know, that don't go.
After 5 minutes?
Yeah, well, no, the hour went. The hour was, you know, past an hour. And then I was like, when is he coming back? You know, he said, I'll be back in the evening. That was in the morning. I'll be back in the evening. Come back at 7 o'clock. So I was mixing, is it 7:30? This one started at 7:30. Is it 7? I was so anxious that I was checking Facebook, even though it wasn't 7 in the evening. I kept on checking Facebook so that I don't miss it. I started following him immediately. So every day I was watching and listening, and I was sharing it with as many people as I could. But even out of everybody that I shared with, these are my loved ones. These are my family, people that I love, that I care about. I can't even say 1% care to even know. They listen, they watch him, they don't want to, because they're comfortable, you know. Maybe there was something that it was inside of me that is desperate. That's all I can say. I was just desperate. Maybe if I had heard him a year prior to that time, maybe I wouldn't be so desperate. But at that point in my own life, I was desperate. So to say that people, it's just like Jesus as well, you know. People heard him, they didn't believe him. There's people that don't believe him. But don't let us deceive ourselves and make excuses. You know, the people that nailed Jesus to the cross, they know that he was good, but they chose to do that. And you know, one thing that I don't know if most of us were in here today when Dr. Sunday was saying, when Caroline gave the reasons why she wasn't engaged, she couldn't engage because she wished she was with those people at some point. And Dr. Sunday, it's not the first time I'm hearing this. For me, I know that Jesus was nailed to the wall. I know that I was nailed to the cross. I know everything that I went through, but I zero it out of my head. I don't think about that. He said it several times. Even it was enough for him to think that. Is it enough for any of us, apart from our need for God to save us, which is why a lot of people went to church in the first place? God to save you, to provide for you, to help you with your to fees, to help you with money, to help you to have the best car, so that you can be the best person in your clique. You know, apart from that, take that aside. How many people have just thought of that, of him being nailed, and that was enough for us? What else do we need? What else? You know, think about even being beaten naked. The picture we saw was that he had an underwear on, but he was just saying now that he was naked, he was beaten naked. Have you thought of it? Did anybody here think about that and just say that just because of that, I'm not going to go, I'm not praising you because of what I want. I don't want you to save me. In this sickness, I want to remain in this sickness and still love you. I want to remain, even if I don't have, and still love you. Or they would say, oh, if you don't do it for me, then you're not God. You know, do we ever think about him being nailed to the cross and everything that he did? So why do we believe the lies and not the truth? So to say that, you know, we didn't know, we didn't see. I was in seeking as well. I was living in my comfort zone. I loved my life. I had the things that I wanted, but I was not in my purpose. And because I wasn't functioning in my purpose, God also put that thing in me that I would be unsatisfied. I was so unsatisfied with everything. It doesn't matter what I eat, how luxury it is, or where I go. There was the pain of not being satisfied. There was no peace because I was not functioning. My creator created me for a purpose, and I wasn't functioning in that purpose. So I was always in pain. So I'm giving up on deceiving myself, and I'm giving up on making excuses for other people. They need to be hungry, and they need to die to themselves. Forget about your ego, forget about your motive, the negative motives that you have. Maybe the one word that you need to remember today is just to think about Jesus. He was naked, he died for you. He was nailed on the cross, he died for you. He did everything for you. And what are you doing in return? So when Dr. Sunday was saying that, how can we get this message out? How can we get this out to people? We didn't come out with anything. We didn't really respond. We didn't say, this is what I'm going to do. Platform is one of them, but there are other things that we're going to do. How are we going to change our lives? Are we just going to be listening to story times like this? Because this seems like story times. It's almost like pleasing to us. We sit down, we hear these stories. We heard about people that have done us wrongly in the past. But we have done other people wrongly as well. So, but what are we going to do? What steps are we going to take to make a change? To really live that Jesus? It's not the only one that should be doing this. We should all be living this way.
Yeah.
Dying to ourselves. That's the
how
message.
it's going to spread faster.
Yes. So what are we doing? What is our motive? Forget our motive, forget our ego, and just think about Jesus on the cross. You know, if he doesn't do anything for us again, ever again, the fact that we were created, he died for us, that should be enough for us. And that's what I keep hearing from him. You know, everybody that he gave, I'll just let other people talk, because I wanted to talk about the 3 days experience and how I felt. I just don't want to start from the 3 days. I really want to start from Friday. The conception. No. The conception. For conception of these 3 days.
Yeah, we are still going to continue on that in the evening.
Yes. So I'll just let other people talk. But please, it is enough of the deception, if not to ourselves, but to other people. You know. But when we start with ourselves, then we can also extend that to other people. When we stop deceiving ourselves, we will stop deceiving others. But when we deceive others, we will also deceive ourselves. So, enough of me.
Brilliant,
yeah.
Brilliant, Marowa. You deserve an brilliant. So that's the last person that will talk before all the you see there's some army there at the back. I am careful for your safety and mine too.
say something short. I was thinking about my mother because she's someone who's very dedicated in the Lord. She's a very, maybe from our perspective, you could say a religious person. She would pray a lot for me, for our entire family. She would really try to seek God and really try to be pleasing to Him. And she would still have that distance in terms of access to a pastor directly. So she would honor them but keep her distance. So she would not be an advocate of being too close to a pastor and, you know, still staying true to yourself and keeping your sanity and just praying to God the way you have to do it. But because of my relationship to her, my trusting
As
relationship
Pastor
to
Nkiru left?
her. Yes.
Okay.
Because of my trusting relationship to her, I was able to bring the truth that I have received from Pastor Sunday to her. So she basically had the access that we all are talking about because we say pastor is accessible, but I'm just wondering, is it really necessary for everyone to have access to pastor, or is it necessary for them to have access to the God in pastor and not, you know, being close to him just like we are sitting here touching him? Maybe it's on me to reveal the God of pastor to my mom and not for her to come and sit here and listen to him. Is that not the most important thing? Because at the end of the day, it's not...
The angle they are coming from is that pastors who are there's pastors out there who are desperate for the truth to come out of the captivity.
Yeah.
And they are Christians. That's what he was trying to say.
I would say this also applies to my mom. I mean, she was also desperate for the truth and she didn't find it. But she was still living in that deception, didn't know how to get out of it. She didn't hear of Pastor Sunday before I came to introduce him to her. And it wasn't important for her to fly here to get to know Pastor Sunday, for her to get to know the truth. So I'm just saying, I don't necessarily believe that everyone has to be in the inner circle of Pastor Sunday in order to be set free. But they probably just need the truth that Pastor Sunday is carrying.
I think what they're actually saying is to get it into Pastor Sunday, what they mean is getting his resources.
Yeah.
Not necessarily him personally.
Yeah.
But just want people to know that his resources are out there.
Yeah. And they are. I mean, I support that idea and I agree as well. But I see your point, but I also see that there are people who are just not, who don't have that perception. They just don't think this way. For them, it doesn't exist that you have to have that access. Maybe they don't even think it's important or it's necessary. Everyone is different. So that's why I believe in when Pastor Sunday says every one of us has to be a Pastor Sunday. It's not just about Pastor Sunday, but it's, can you also replicate Pastor Sunday so that they will have the access, they will have the resources, they will have everything they need, they will have the truth, they will find purpose, because we were able to replicate Pastor Sunday as well. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just saying it's not necessary, you know, all this. I think this is a way for us to bring the message across and to maybe dissolve this idea of Pastor Sunday not being accessible just because there are these extensions of Pastor Sunday already and that's enough, everything they need to actually know that there is access. So
brilliant.
That's just...
Okay, we are going to stop on that. If you could. Okay, there are two things we want to do. For the people who are watching us, I would like to say that we are going to go off and come back either in 5 minutes or 30 minutes. We are going to decide now. It's time for us to have dinner. Or have you all eaten dinner? No? Not yet. Because we have been sitting here. I know you have not eaten. So we either go and eat dinner now and come back in 30 minutes so that we will be able to witness and participate. Because these are men from the English church. We have English-speaking church in the Embassy of God. And the men just decided to come today. You know, that's very symbolic for me because men don't do that. Men hide behind the women. And, you know, so this is going to be a strange thing for me to do. In most places, men, it's the wives that are pushing wives that are pushing their husbands to somehow come out of the shadow. But what these men want to do here, they came here, I'm interested, and I think we should all be interested. But what do you want us to do? Do you want us to take 30 minutes break so that you could eat, then come back and all have the time with the people so that you not be in a hurry? Or you want to just take 5 minutes recess and then you have to be in a hurry and say, when will they finish? Because I don't know how long it will take. I want us to hear them out. What will you say?
5, please.
5 minutes? Okay. Who is for 30?
Oh.
Who is for 5?
My wife always. You're always.
Why is the odd one? Oh, she has a voice. She's a voice on her own, so she's not intimidated, and that's where we all must get to, so that we don't get to a place where we just follow the crowd, but we will be a voice for ourselves. So let's take. Can somebody? Hello, Tony Butam. Vyjasni jeste tam se gato. Možda čas pa kormit людей. Bistrinka paka ja ni veklušuzes. I'm sorry, I just wanted to find out if it's time for break or not. Where are the other foreigners that are in the house? The Banjokos and other people, will they come to eat?
Yeah, we'll call them.
We'll call them, okay. And you people have been away the whole day.
Yeah, we went to the...
But you should be tired enough to go to eat now.
No.
We were ministering to.
So I hope you are leaving your comments, and I hope you are sharing. I would really encourage you to share this. I don't know what title.
I said fellowship with Dr. Sunday.
That's saying nothing.
Well,
and you have a lot of those things, and you've still not changed. The night from the night before, all those kind of things. Yes, they are still there. I still saw one of them like the other day. So you have to give it the topic. You let them advise you.
What topic do you think we should give this time that we've had in the last 2 almost 3 hours?
Why is Pastor Sunday so accessible? That's the topic that everybody
we've had that. I think we've had that before.
Because you want to put something in a way that people will know, or maybe not about that. What are the other things we spoke about?
Title.
I don't know, you think about it later.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 30 minutes, let me see. Yeah, maybe in 20 minutes, let's say, because now it's 10 minutes after. I was thinking if we can eat the 8:30, we could just come 8:30, so that we'll try to be back at 8:30. Even if everybody is not back yet, Maiwa will be back to welcome you. So 8:30 we'll be back. So see you guys, and let's go eat. Blessings.
Thank you guys. We'll be back.
Maybe the men also need to go eat.
See you later.
I'm coming back.